Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. In this video, we'll actually be covering one of the best decks in the current Sword and Shield-on format, updated with Lost Origin and, obviously with what's being played in the current meta, right? With lots of the Lost Box decks, Giratina, Palkia variants like Palkia Inteleon and Palkia Kiram, MewVmax, right? And, all the Arceus variants out there like the Flying Pikachu, Decidueye, Arceus Giratina, Arceus Duraludon, etc. And, one of the decks that I'm going to cover is actually MewVmax. And MewVmax is probably the most explosive deck in the format. Just the speed it has, the ability to draw cards, as up to like 20 cards a turn. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I can't be more excited to show this deck off. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we have 3 MewVmax, 4 MewV, 4 Genesect, and a single Oricorio. So the main attacker is obviously Mew. We're only going to need about only 2 in a game, right? But if you do get 3 into play, that's okay. The MewV there, 180 HP, free retreat, resistance to fighting, weakness to dark, right? That's okay. The attacks there, energy mix. For a Psychic, search your deck for an energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. That's cool. And then Psychic Leap there, which does 70 for a colorless and a Psychic. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attach it into your deck. That's okay. But we actually don't play any Psychic energy in this deck. So therefore, we will not be using that attack. The MewVmax now, right? 310 HP, which is okay for a VMAX. Free retreat, resistance to fighting, and weakness to dark, which is pretty standard again. It's mainly there for the Cross Fusion Strike attack for 2 colorless. Choose one of your benched Fusion Strikes Pokemon attacks and use it as this attack, right? Which is awesome. And then Max Miracle again. We don't play Psychic, but for those that want to know, for 2 Psychic, it does 130. And then this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that gets through things like Miltank and I believe Duraludon as well. So that's the main attacker. Now on to the secondary attacker, but it's not really. It's mainly there for the draw engine. Genesect V, 190 HP, 2 retreat, resistance to grass, weakness to fire. Once again, we don't play metal energies, right? But for those that want to know, Technoblast there, that for 2 metal and a colorless does 210. And during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Okay. But it's mainly there for the Fusion Strike system ability. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have as many cards in your hand as you do have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. So, if you have 4 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play and 2 cards in your hand, you draw 2 cards. So it's a built-in draw engine, which makes this deck perfectly, like Mew and Genesect, perfect together. And then we have the Oricorio here. We don't play any fire energy, for those that want to know. But for the attack there, glistening droplets for a fire and a colorless. Put 5 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. That's cool. 90 HP. Retreat cost of 1. No resistance, weakness to water. And its ability there, that's why we play it, because of the ability. All of your Fusion Strike Pokemon take 20 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon after applying weakness and resistance. And then you can't use more than one Lesson in Zeal ability at a time, right? So it makes sense to just play one. And that is it for the Pokemon. Only 12 in the deck. Now on to the trainers, supporters, and stadiums. The supporters will be first. 2 Avery, 2 Boss's Orders, 2 Marnie. We got 1 Silene here. I'll just spread these out. 2 Pokestop for the stadium, a Lost City Stadium, and a Rose Tower Stadium. So for the supporters, Avery there, really good. Draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3. So it's really good. It totally messes with decks that like to have huge benches. So pretty much any Inteleon deck. It does a lot. Boss's Orders knock out what you want to knock out, which is really good. Marnie there, because it's a good little disruption card, right? It can mess with your opponent's hand, and especially, after all the Colress experiments that they've been doing or the shady dealings searches they've been doing, right? It's a great way to just shuffle them back in. Silene there to get back certain cards. Pokestop for the stadium, so I actually really like this stadium as we're able to turbo through our deck a lot more. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard the top 3 cards of their deck. If a player discarded any item cards in this way, put them into your hand. So it's really good. Lost City, whenever a Pokemon, either yours or your opponent's, is knocked out, put that Pokemon into the Lost Zone. So another great card. It doesn't really hurt this deck either because we play 3 MewVmax, and your opponent really just has to knock out 2 of them to win, right? So if one of them gets knocked out, okay, it goes to the Lost Zone, and then we have 1 left that they need to knock out, right? So it's all good. Rose Tower there. Once during each player's turn, that player may draw cards until they have 3 in their hand. So this is a great way to just get some draw when you have nothing, right? It's our 4th stadium as well, which is the reason why we play Forest to counter Path to the Peak, right? Because that hurts this deck. But yeah, that's pretty solid. This supporter and stadium lineup, I'm pretty happy with it. So it's a lot of fun. So now on to the trainer cards. I'm going to do the 4 ofs, and there are a whole bunch of them. And the best one is probably this one here, Battle VIP Pass. We need 4 Cramomatic, 4 Cross Switcher, 4 Power Tablet, 4 Quick Ball, and 4 Ultra Ball. So Battle VIP Pass, great first turn card, right? And being as we can turbo through our deck a lot in that first turn, we should be able to hit at least 1 of them, right? Probably even 2. Search for 2 basics and put them onto your bench, which is awesome. Cramomatic discards a card from our hand, and then we flip a coin of heads, search our deck for any card. So it helps us set up, and it lowers our cards in our hand, meaning we can draw more with Fusion Strike system. Cross Switcher, right, is pretty much an escape rope and Boss's Orders combined. So it's really good. Power Tablet there increases damage from your Fusion Strike Pokemon by 30. Really awesome. Quick Ball and Ultra Ball, both of them discard a card. Ultra Ball discards 2. Quick Ball searches for a basic Pokemon, whereas Ultra Ball searches for any Pokemon, right? And typically with Ultra Ball, we're going to want to grab our MewVmax, as it's the only way to search it out. And that is the 4 ofs, right? So now on to the lesser copies, I guess, right? This is Lily Mew Turbo here, Turbo MewVmax, right? It doesn't play Meloetta, and the reason why is because I think that the format now is more focused on single prizers, right? Especially with the new Lost Zone stuff. For the 2-ofs, we got 2 choice belts. We have 2 Rotom phone, 2 trekking shoes, and then the singles, an echoing horn, a Palpad, and a switch. Choice belt is pretty much like power tablet, right? Increases damage done by 30, except it specifies Vs. It has to be done to a V. But also the choice belt is actually a tool as well, so it stays as long as it's as the Pokemon is in play, or if the tool gets discarded. Rotom phone is really good because it combos really well with Fusion Strike system, with Pokestop, right, with trekking shoes, right, which is the next one. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put that card into your hand. If you don't, discard that card and draw a card. So we just get through more cards of trekking shoes. Echoing horn there as a neat little one of, right? We can put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard onto their bench. So this is really good with things like Cross Switcher, right? As we can target things like a Lumineon V or a Crobat V that we previously knocked out, right? Or anything that's fighting weak, right? We can do that, right? Really easy. Palpad is to get back supporters, so it's really good with Silene and Boss's Orders. And then Switch is, it's Switch, right? It's been in the format for a long time. I consider it a staple, like at least one in pretty much every deck, right? And just a good card. And that is it for the trainer cards. So lastly, we have the energy, and I'm sure I've alluded to it already, right? But the only energy that we play is 4 double turbo energy, right? Hands down, probably the best energy in the format right now. I love this thing. It's a double colorless energy, except your attacks do -20, right? 20 less damage. So, and yeah, we want to be able to hit that on our second turn, so we can get that cross fusion strike to copy Technoblast. To do that, 190 damage, or if we have a belt or a tablet, right, that 220, which is a perfect knockout on V Pokemon like Palkia, Arceus, or Giratina, right, etc. So that is the deck, everybody. This deck is extremely explosive. It is one of the best decks in the format. It has been one of the best decks in the format ever since it came out in Fusion Strike, right? And I see this deck continuing to be one of the best even until the next set, Silver Tempest, comes out, and even when Scarlet and Violet come out, the base set of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I think comes out in February, it's gonna be pretty good till then, so at least. But that's the deck, everybody. Let me know what you think. In terms of matchups, right, I think it can win pretty much every matchup, right? I think it doesn't really have a whole lot of bad matchups. I guess maybe Arceus Duraludon can maybe give you kind of a hard time, right? Because of the healing, right? And pretty much any dark deck. So if you're playing like things like Eternatus, right? I'd say something like that. And it's actually relatively cheap to build as well. Considering that in a month or two, there is the new battle deck that's going to be coming out, which is the MewVmax battle deck. So that's awesome. And yeah, that's the deck, everybody. So yeah, let me know what you think, and if you like what you're seeing and hearing, maybe like the video and subscribe, as I'm always trying to produce quality content for everybody. Fridays are deck profile Fridays. Sundays are openings, right? So I open a Pokemon TCG product, right? I usually like to stick to what's current. And then on Wednesdays are some live gameplay. So I'll be playing some decks that are current in the current format. Sword and Shield on, and occasionally there will be a video on a day that's not one of those days. So it just depends on what's up, right? So, well, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.